Getting a yard you love is not about having the flashiest, trendiest features. It's really about creating a unique space that is tailored to you and your lifestyle. So that means envisioning how you'll spend time in the yard, the kind of events you'll host, the life you want to live, and how this space can help you achieve that. So that's why today I'm going to be ranking some of our most requested design features, telling you which ones I think are truly worth it and which ones are absolutely overrated. So starting off with a feature that is absolutely worth it and actually is one of the cheapest items you can buy. You get the biggest bang for your buck, and it is a daybed. Whether it's a daybed swing or a daybed at the side of the pool, to me there is nothing that, for me personally, that all these yards I've gone back to that we finished and I've been in this space where I'm like, man, I really get to experience and enjoy this yard from any kind of swing daybed, like I said, or a daybed that's by the water. But typically these range lower end, a couple thousand. Of course, you can make them as elaborate as you like, but there's something about just being in a swing, even if it's something that's really solid and barely moves, but where you can feel like, oh, I could just take a nap here, or even if it's just a stationary daybed at the side of the water. To me, whether you like reading or not, but just to me, there's nothing more relaxing than this. And like I said, I've never ever had a client say, oh, I really regret getting this swing or this daybed. And like I said, it's actually the cheapest item because it's almost a piece of furniture. So say if you're gonna put anything in your yard, you cannot go wrong with this item. And so an element that can be overrated, and this is specific based on where you are and your lifestyle, is an oversized spa. Now, the reason that it can be overrated is that when you have an oversized spa that's bigger than the minimum, which is about 6 by 8, you're gonna get into just a loss of, it's not gonna be super efficient for heating up. So it can be something where it's just gonna take a lot longer, or it's really gonna jack up the energy bill just to get it to that hot temperature that you want. Now, are they visually impressive? Absolutely. So I always say, when you're asking yourself, what is a perfect size? And I do ask this for all my clients, is first of all, do we love spas? I just had a client recently that said, you know what? We've had spas, jacuzzis, whatever you want to call it, at every single house, and we've never used them, so we're not going to have one with our pool. So just make sure, first of all, that you actually enjoy getting the spa, not just getting it because you feel like if I have a pool, I have to get one. And then also making sure you find the right size, because like I said, making it too big, it can look really cool, but it's just not going to be as efficient to be used, especially in colder climate. So it's just going to take a lot longer and not something you can just pop into when you feel like it. So another item that is absolutely worth it and very important to achieving the Foxterra look or just an overall luxurious look is custom lighting. Now, it is interesting because I do find that almost all my clients agree, you know, lighting's important, everyone brings it up, I want to have great lighting. I think where people start to change their minds is when they see the price tag attached to it, because when you see that maybe, you know, 30, 40, and that's, you know, starting for lighting alone, I can feel like, wow, like I feel like that money could be used so much better elsewhere. But I just want to say, if you are going to create a luxury space, just remember that you're going to have a daytime experience and a nighttime experience. And typically the nighttime experience is even better than the daytime experience if they had invested in the right lighting. So I would just say that, you know, I think everyone understands how lighting can transform a yard, but just understand that it will take up a chunk of the budget, and just understand that it will be worth it, and you will not regret allocating a part of that budget to make sure you have that beautiful custom lighting that highlights all those beautiful features at night. Another element that can be overrated, and once again, all these elements that I'm saying are overrated are totally dependent on you and your lifestyle. So for something that may be overrated for someone else, may be perfect for you. But one that I've seen that some clients have said, I wish I had not allocated so much of the budget and design to this, is an elaborate outdoor kitchen. Now, if your jam is hosting and cooking and that's something you absolutely love to do, then go all out. However, if that's not really something you like to do, just make sure you don't create this elaborate outdoor kitchen if maybe the kitchen in the home is also not a space you spend a lot of time. And another thing that's very important to remember too is when it comes to outdoor kitchen storage, is that I've seen, and they look absolutely beautiful, all these kind of storage solutions, but just remember that anything that's stored outside is inevitably going to be covered in dust, grime. It's just a part of life when things are left outside. And that's something too where I've had clients say like, oh, I love to have, these shelves. They just look so cool and they do look absolutely beautiful. But just remember, anything you keep out there, you're gonna have to wash it before it can be used. So it's something just remembering that the fact that, everything is outdoors, it's exposed to the elements, even if it's, under a roof, it's just gonna be different than your indoor kitchen. So I would just say, especially if you have other elements that you really want to allocate the budget. Sometimes all you need is a simple outdoor kitchen and, with a grill and a trash can. Even ask yourself, do I even need a sink? Maybe you don't need a sink, but I'd love to have a drink fridge. Maybe that's all you need. Make sure you really analyze every element of an outdoor kitchen to make sure it's worth it for you. All right, so now I'm gonna tell you the number one, and by the way, this is just my personal opinion from having gone to so many yards and been in these spaces after they've been fully constructed. But what is the number one item that I feel like is a must-have if it fits in the budget and if it fits in the space? It's a sunken seating with a fire pit. We've done so many different ones. Some are by a pool, some are just standalone. But there is something so unique about just descending and you're just going a couple feet down into the earth, and of course it just feels even more luxurious when you're right by the water. But just being at this lower level, there's something so relaxing about having that. It's something so unique because 99% of homes do not have any kind of sunken seating in them. So it's just something that visually it looks amazing. Even if you don't get a pool, but you have that, it's just something that will absolutely get used. Every single client I know that has one loves using it. They say it's their go-to space in the yard. Obviously, it is a substantial chunk of a design budget just to create a sunken seating. It's not cheap, but every single client has told me that they love using it. And I know whenever I visit these yards, I'm always drawn to these spaces. So you cannot go wrong with a sunken seating with a fire pit. And my most overrated feature, and this is going to be something that's very specific, is an acrylic edge to the pool. Now, what do I mean by acrylic? Check this out. I'm talking about when we have this glass window on a pool. Now, does it look cool? Absolutely. Is it for most yards? Absolutely not. Now, I would say if you have a substantial budget, let's say you're in the 800 to $1 million plus on your yard, then absolutely, this would be a great space for that. However, just keep in mind that this is probably the number one most expensive material per cubic foot you could select for your yard. And at the end of the day, it's not something where if I have this, is gonna transform my space. It always elevates the space, but just keeping in mind, it is so expensive for what it is. So I always recommend, first of all, if a client comes to me and say, I absolutely love this, is always my dream, perfect, let's go for it. But if it's something where I'm kind of on the fence about it, and I think it looks cool, just because of the price tag associated with it, I would say there's a lot of other things we can do before we do that to really elevate your space and make it look beautiful. So once again, to sum it up, these are purely my opinions as a designer, but I would love to hear your feedback in the comments. How would you rank these? Am I wrong? Do you agree with me? Let us know in the comments. When you're ready to transform your yard, click the link in the description box to get started. And if you want more inspiration for your yard, watch this video next.